vincontroller.eu. Check vehicle history for every used car in Europe. Today we got another package. I believe this is something we're going to use for the Toyota Corolla build. Because on that car we want to paint the whole chassis. And we're planning to take everything off the car. The engine and the transmission were taken out. And a lot of other things have to go off the car as well before we paint it. Almost everything. That's why we ordered this awesome thing. The people at Job Garage recommended this. So what is it then? A chassis dolly for a Corolla. Jesus Christ, this looks a lot bigger than it did on the photos. So, these are the wheels. They're not small at all. And they weigh quite a bit too. Those are going to the bottom of the dolly. Oh, that's heavy. And the dolly is built by adding tubes to this. The dolly also has 4 screw jacks for the car. That way the car can be completely balanced by adjusting each corner. So if we assemble all this together, what we're going to get is a cart on wheels, which we put the chassis on. That way we can simply roll it onto a trailer and tow it to have it painted. And in the meantime, the engine will get repaired in Job Garage. So this is going to come in pretty handy. Oh, here they have a picture of how it looks. So this is how it should look when it's assembled. It's also completely adjustable, so we can use it on any chassis in the future. When the guys at Job Garage first seen these, they immediately went and ordered a few. And we also ordered one for ourselves, so that we have one on hand for our future projects. So, this is a pretty nifty gadget we wanted to share with all of you. By the way, the max weight of this dolly is around 950 kilograms. So, right now I'm assembling the cart. And these metal pieces are surprisingly massive. We still have to screw all this together. There's just a few steps until it's done, so that it's ready when we need to put the Corolla chassis on it, so that we can paint it. So, the cart is now done. I finally managed to put it together, although I did put some things in the wrong place at first. So, its height is adjustable, and you can also make it wider or longer. Adjustable in every way. Each wheel also has a brake. And I know it might seem I'm sponsored by this company, but I swear I'm not. I just like this a lot. We paid full price for this product. I mean, we tried to get a discount, but they didn't budge. But in case you know of a company that does this stuff, make sure to let us know and we'll shout you out. Welcome back to our seemingly infinite series with Toyota Corolla. Brought to you by our mechanic, Zdeno from Job Garage. And behind me, you can already see the car lifted on the jack. Today we're going to take the whole suspension out, so that we can put the chassis on the dolly, and we can take it to a body shop. So today you'll be seeing how a suspension setup is dismantled from a car. And don't worry, the chassis is not going to be the only thing touched by us. But I believe the rest is going to be in another video. Now let me remind you, our goal for this build is not just to make it look nice. Of course we'll replace all the old components with new ones. All the rubber in the suspension is basically dead at this point. We want this car to be mechanically perfect. So everything is going to be sent off to get sandblasted, and let's hope something remains at the end of the process. Because they just might fall apart. In that case we'll have to order new ones. Well, let's hope they don't. This is a Toyota after all. So, in a minute you'll see how it's disassembled, and then you'll see us putting the chassis on the dolly. And as we mentioned, we're also going to pack all the parts, which are going to be shipped to a specialist shop. Enjoy! Welcome back! We have the Corolla on the jack again. Last time it was here, we took the engine out. We also completely disassembled the engine. And now it's time to disassemble the whole suspension of the car. The subframe, the control arms, dampers, everything has to go, in the front and back. So, let's start with the front. First we'll take off the dampers and the control arms, we'll unplug the power steering, and we'll take it all down with the subframe and disassemble it all on the ground. That way it's easier. 30 minutes have passed, and it was really hard work, but we've managed to pull it off. Trust us, getting this off the Corolla wasn't easy. The easiest thing I've done all day. Hey, stop lying, you two. Hey, what do you mean? I saw Milan take it off. Okay, shout out to Milan, and it also wasn't 30 minutes. But still, it was done really quickly. Well, that might be because this is a rather simple setup. It's just a McPherson strut. You just unbolt the dampers on the top and the bottom, and the control arm. And the rear axle is really similar to this. It's only held on by 2 bushings and 2 dampers. If I don't count the brake lines and the brake calipers, which were actually kind of tricky to pull off the car, the rear axle went off just by unscrewing 4 bolts. And on the ground here we have the subframe with the steering rack, along with the arm that holds the front engine mount. And the engine. And we're going to disassemble it further. I can see that the sway bar has had some rough years. Yeah, it started to bubble from the rust. You definitely need a new one. This is all the rust proofing you used to have. You can see it's all gone. And this is all rust. I'd advise you to sandblast it as well, so we can find out whether it's good. Wait, that means we can buy an aftermarket sway bar, right? Well, we'll see. Depends on your budget, really. Infinite. Well, actually, the more people join our giveaway for this Corolla TS, the more finances we have to do crazy stuff with this. Feel free to insert this link. We're about to find a lot more rust. Please no more. We're definitely not reusing the springs and dampers, because we'll be upgrading to a sport suspension. Yeah, these are easy enough to take off. Here I have the upright, with the bearing inside, and the whole damper is clamped just by these 2 screws here. So you unbolt it and it goes off. I hope you select the proper suspension set with the correct top mount, because I don't feel like tampering with the dampers. And the third place where the damper is connected to the car is right here, where the sway bar end links connect to the damper. Let's look at it in a bit more detail. These brake shields. I definitely try to sandblast them, and if they don't survive it, I definitely replace them for new ones. I would also try to push the bearings out and replace them. Now that I'm looking at it, I can see some cables right there. What's up with that? Well, those are the infamous ABS sensors. They're notoriously hard to get off Japanese cars. I hope they survive it this time, but if they don't, we'll have to order new ones. Since it's going to get sandblasted and powder coated, we have a question. What color should we choose? Well, I would probably keep it black. Well, that was also my first idea, but I would actually vote for red, just like the new color of the car. But leave your suggestions in the comments. Should we powder coat it black? We're mainly talking about the subframe and the control arms. Or should we go a bit crazy with the red? That would look interesting from the underside. Anyways, please leave your color suggestions in the comments. Welcome back! We managed to disassemble the whole front and rear suspension on the Corolla. And Zdeno will now tell us what we should do with these parts. Because these won't end up in the trash. We want to save these. Let's go through all of them. Starting with the front sway bar. We'll try to sandblast it. And maybe powder coat it. We'll see how it looks after sandblasting. Next up, we have the whole front subframe. Along with the front engine cradle, front control arms, and front uprights with the spindles removed. And back there, that's the whole rear axle. We left all the bushings in their place for one simple reason. We don't want the sand to damage the surface on which they sit. That's also why we left the bushings in the front subframe and why we left the bearings in the uprights. So it should get sandblasted and powder coated like this, right? Yeah, and then we'll push them out with a press. And we also managed to break some bolts, just about half of them. We'll have to get all those drilled out and tap some new threads. On the rear axle, the brake line and ABS cable holder had its bolts completely seized, so that's where the first ones broke off. And on the front axle, the bolts that hold the subframe snapped. Also, on the driver's side control arm, the bolt stayed seized inside the bushing. But that's about it. When it comes to broken bolts on the parts on the ground, there's another pile with a lot of other parts. This is the engine cradle. And right here, 2 bolts snapped. Mind you, only 2 were there. So, I see the Corolla is making it all simple. At least we won't get bored. and I really hope you don't get bored watching this. So, our next step is, we're going to put the Corolla on the dolly. Yeah, that's correct. Since we don't have wheels anymore, we have to move it somehow. Thanks to this dolly, we can easily transport this car to the body shop. Alright, let's do it. So, the X1 is packed to the brim again, and the best part is that we have a Vivaro, but it's getting serviced now, so that it finally works as it should. So I'm going to have to get the X1 dirty again. And we're going to take all these parts and get them sandblasted, but you'll see that in the next episode. See ya!